back to the show. We're here at La La Java in Northborough, speaking with Lee Abdella from Walsh Home Inspections about home inspection topics. One of the things I had for you is, what are the 3 things you should never hear out of the home inspector's mouth? Now, I've got one.
What's that? If your home inspector flees the property, you might have a problem. Sure, that's a safe bet. Yeah.
Okay. Seriously, what are the 3 things?
Your report shouldn't have a picture of someone fleeing. That's
Well,
not a good report.
I am going to ask later, and we can do it now. Is, are there times where you just want to say, "There's no need to finish this home inspection"?
You know,
I've had that once where it was like the preponderance of evidence had grown so large.
It happens more than you probably realize. It probably happens at least once or twice a week to us, and we do quite a number of inspections. It's based on obviously the condition of the house if someone is caught really off guard, but also the client's expectations and disposition for how much of a fixer-upper they're willing to take on. Particularly in this market where there was such low inventory, a lot of people were making some very snap decisions about putting in the winning bid, getting that house for top dollar, and they have an emotional expectation the house is going to be in great shape because they paid top dollar for it. When in reality, at the home inspection, we start finding issues. Some people can start doing math in their head, or discussing with their agent saying, you know what, this is more than we bargained for. You know what, it's way too much. There's way too many repairs. We want to call it off. Yeah. And that does happen. It's happened just a couple of days ago, and we say, you know what, that's understandable.
I had one once this was a house that had been pieced together, my words, and we stopped the home inspection when the list was so long, and the buyer was very upset. He says, why did you let me do this? And I said, well, you're the one that wanted this house. So we had a very direct discussion about, you wanted a large house. This is a large house, but it was not an architected house. It was pieced together. Someone calls it the house that Jack built. And I said, you need to buy a proper house. And literally, we took him to another house that he hadn't wanted to look at, and he bought that house that day. So tell me about the 3 things you should never hear out of a home inspector's mouth.
Okay. So the 3 things that you should never hear out of a home inspector's mouth are, 1, the price to fix or to replace a particular item. Say it's the boiler, for example. It's completely natural and understandable for a buyer or a client to turn to the home inspector and say, you know what, well, okay, so we have a problem with it. What's it going to take to fix it? They, by state standards, should never give you a cost to replace it or fix it.
So let me ask you a pointed question, because I know that law, and it's something that I find that buyers struggle with. So
sure.
What I say to home inspectors is, can you tell us if this is a big deal, a little deal, medium deal, without putting dollars against that, and that puts them into a space that they generally seem to be comfortable in. No, this is going to be a big deal, or no, this is really nothing, which is like, well, hold it, you made it sound like, whoo.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to that?
So, it's a double-edged sword.
Yep.
Something that's a big deal. Now, keep in mind, we can gauge it and make the client understand, okay, this is not an imminent, huge problem. It's a 2-day repair. It's usually, nothing catastrophic financially. We can kind of get our arms around that. But we do have to walk a fine line between telling someone it's a big deal or not a big deal on certain things, because something that might be not a big deal to a client say a buyer is a plumber, or they have trades experience, or they have family who's in that business, that might not be a big deal to them, or they have the financial means to replace that. If you're talking to a client, this is every penny they have nothing left over to do repairs on this house, and they have no handy skills, that could be a bigger deal to them.
Okay.
So, but the point is that the agent, as well as the home inspector, should try to get to know that client a little bit in advance to understand what, to gauge what it would be a big deal and not a big deal. A good home inspector should know who they're talking to and understand how to tailor a little bit of what they're saying to that person.
That's one question. We got 2 more.
Okay. So that's number 1 is cost. Number 2, you should never hear out of a home inspector's mouth. Again, the boiler. Oh yeah, that needs to be replaced. And by the way, my nephew just happens to be, whatever. Here's his card. If you call him, he'll take care of it for you at a really great price. Not okay. There needs to be separation of church and state here, and a home inspector inspects. They are not handing out names. So that's 2. So you've got no pricing, no names, and the third one, which all the agents out there can start laughing now, is you should not hear the term, that's not up to code at a home inspection. And I know people hear it, they do hear it. The easiest way and the most succinct way to explain it is the only homes that are up to code, and again, it's natural for a buyer who's been watching HGTV to turn to the person in the biggest work boots in the room and say, is it up to code? The only home that is up to code is a home that was issued their certificate of occupancy that day or within the last few weeks. Codes change all the time. And so there's no way that you would ever know if an older house was up to code. A home inspector's job is to look at the components of a home to see if it's safe and if it's operable, not if it meets current code.
Well, Lee, I want to thank you for coming out today and talking about home inspections. And with that, I'm out of here.
Bye.